Hey, it's Amy again. We are on day 3 of my conference, but today I have a ton of meetings to go to and I can't really miss them, so I'm probably gonna have to miss the stuff that's going on at the conference instead. But I think they're doing like those breakout rooms with discussions, and back when we were doing in-person conferences, I would always get up and leave whenever we split up into group work because I just wasn't there for that. To me, I'm not missing much. I opened the door right before this to bring in my trash can, and oh my god, this mosquito or something came with it, and I just lost it when I closed the door, so now I don't know where it is in my house, and I have to live in fear for the next couple of days. But yeah, I have about half an hour till my next meeting, so I'm going to talk about the book that I finished last night, which is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is a horror thriller novel, but as is often the case with my favorite types of horror novels, it is also a critique of modern society and the problems that we face and choose to ignore, such as homelessness, poverty, income gaps, lack of a proper infrastructure in place to help those who might be going through difficult times. So the main character, Jules, is a woman from a working class background who has just lost her job. So she grew up in this, I think, mining town in Pennsylvania, and her parents basically went through some really difficult times when she was a bit younger, and it's hinted at, and we eventually discover what happened to them and to her sister. Basically what happened to them sounds like those headlines that you see in the newspapers that you kind of just forget about after a while. You go, it's sad, but unfortunately I feel like we've kind of been numb to the suffering that goes on around us because of, I don't know, maybe it's just a sense of powerlessness or something. Like, what can we really do to help these people? It's better for our mental health to just not think about it at all. My sister and I were just talking about this headline we saw yesterday about people in California pushing to end homeless camps, and they don't mean like to put an end to it by providing apartment buildings for the homeless to live in until they get back on their feet or anything like that. They are talking about just banning homeless camps, like not allowing these encampments that you typically see like under bridges or like a corner of a park or something like that. The question is, where are you going to push these people to? This has been an ongoing battle in California for the past however many years. It's always, we want to build something here, so we got to get these homeless people out so that we can get started on construction. So as a result, the homeless that were already in those encampments have to pack up their meager belongings and leave to go to another city. And the other cities in the area start protesting and saying that it's not fair that they have to take on this problems that could have been resolved if we just had better public services available. I remember they tried to build several homeless shelters in cities near where my parents live, and people were protesting that as well. They were saying, we don't want a homeless shelter near us because that'll draw the riffraff. There is just no easy solution to this, and we just have to accept that there will be no easy solution. We have to suck it up and just, you're not going to solve the problem, let somebody else solve it. Anyways, rant aside, Jules at the beginning of this book just lost her job. I think she got laid off, and then she got home and caught her boyfriend cheating on her. So she moves out of their apartment and goes and just crashes with her best friend Chloe for, I guess, the foreseeable future. But she doesn't want to just stay there with Chloe because Chloe has a boyfriend, has a life of her own, and she feels like she's mooching off of her. That's another thing I've noticed with people from working class backgrounds. There's a lot of that mentality where you just don't want to impose, you feel like you have to be able to get yourself back on your feet on your own, and you feel this great guilt when you ask for help. Jules sees this ad on Craigslist and decides to answer it, and it's for an apartment sitter in this building called the Bartholomew, which is, one of those buildings in movies you see where it's there's a doorman and only celebrities and those with inherited intergenerational wealth will be able to afford to live there, or can even make their list, because sometimes just being rich isn't enough. You have to be rich and also know the right people. This is one of those buildings, and privacy is paramount. So when she goes up to this interview, they ask her all these questions like, are you nosy? Do you always want to find out more about your neighbors? And they also ask some weird questions, very personal questions about her, whether she has family, and she doesn't. No currently living family. They also ask where she's working, things like that. The interesting part about this job ad is that it's for an apartment sitter, but it's not just living in an apartment building rent-free in exchange for just taking care of the apartment. She's also going to get paid $4,000 a month just to occupy this apartment. What the lady who shows her around says is that it just looks bad to have all these vacant apartments, because apparently there are quite a few vacant apartments in this building, even though there's a wait list for rich people who want to get into it. She gets the job instantly, but the shady thing about it is that they pay in cash. They say you can't have any visitors. You can't talk to any of the people in the building unless talked to first, which totally reminds me of Downton Abbey or something, where the servants just kind of flit around in the background and don't talk unless their masters and mistresses talk to them. So her best friend tells her not to take the job because it just sounds too good to be true and also very shady. And I was thinking to myself that while all of these rules and restrictions kind of suck, if you are desperate, it does sound like it would be very tempting. The only shady thing for me was just the cash thing, like the fact that it's under the table. They said it's a lot easier, but these are rich people. And this is the Bartholomew, which is a famous building. Oh, I forgot to mention, Jules is very drawn to this building because her favorite book is set in it. So she mentions that the building has like all these gargoyles on the outside, and the apartment that she happens to be sitting for has this gargoyle that she believes is the exact one described in the book, which is very interesting. She just feels like it was meant to be. She moves in, shady things start happening. She meets some of the other apartment sitters in the building, including Ingrid, who is the girl that lives in the apartment below her. They kind of become friends, and they agree to meet up every single day at a certain time. And then suddenly Ingrid just disappears. And that's when Jules starts to get suspicious, because the night before Ingrid disappears, Jules hears a scream, so she goes to Ingrid's apartment. Ingrid just looks very scared, but she says everything's okay. And the next day she's gone. Leslie, the manager of the building, says that Ingrid left on her own without warning, and she probably is fine. But everything about her disappearance is just very weird. It does not seem right. And then as Jules investigates, she finds out that the apartment sitter who was in her apartment before her also disappeared before Ingrid did. So what is going on? I'm not going to spoil the rest of it, so I'm just going to end by saying that I don't know if this is like the best thriller horror plot I've ever read or anything like that. It was interesting. It kept me kind of guessing. I thought Riley Sager was heading this one direction towards this trope that I just do not like, but it ended up not happening, so that was better for me. But again, the thing that really stood out for me about this book is just the depiction of poverty and how desperate somebody would have to be to agree to keep staying in this apartment building that just seems cursed and haunted, where things are happening that just seem off because they just have nowhere else to go. It's all very sad. And on that depressing note, I'm going to get ready for my meeting. So I will talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.